Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of LostinTranslationmon. This time we're covering Digimon Ghost Game episode 25, Crimson Banquet. I'm May, and I'm joined by the lovely Quinn.
Hi.
And of course, the equally lovely Chloe.
Hello.
So before we get into it, just some quick housekeeping, that's not even a word, housekeeping / updates. So I'm not sure if y'all watched the special last week at all.
Nope. I did not.
You did not miss anything.
I didn't
so yeah, so it was really weird. So I just want to talk about it just quickly.
Please.
And I guess it'll be very clear why it's weird. So obviously it aired a week between episode 24 and episode 25, and it was live action segments with clips from the show that we've already seen. However, here were the episodes that were recapped. Would you like to guess which episodes were covered?
1.
No.
No. 3.
No.
First Goose Gamemon, which was like 10 or something.
Yeah, we gotta do something.
No.
Oh,
No.
what you got?
It was episodes 2 and episodes 4. So it was the Mummymon episode and the Pumpkinmon episode.
Just those two.
Just those two. It was really weird. So they...
That is really weird.
So I knew something was going on when... when they were done covering episode 2, it was more than halfway into the episode. And then they covered episode 4, and then it ended. There was no mention of Kiyoshiro or anything that happened in any episodes after episode 4.
What a deeply strange decision.
Yeah, it felt like, honestly, because it was also vaguely Halloweeny and vaguely spooky. Like, we had the narrator, holding up a pumpkin head. So, it almost felt like it was meant to air after episode 4.
I could maybe see that.
But it's really, I think that surely they only used it because they needed a buffer between these episodes or something.
I really think they could have just replayed it. Anyway.
Yeah, they could have just done, or had another break, or replayed the episode. Or just at least that they could have used this during the break. I don't know. It felt like it would have been better for them just to say no Ghost Game episode. It felt weird because as I said, it covered episode 2 and episode 4. I'm not sure what it was kind of boring because it was just talking about the events of episodes 2 and episodes 4, which were good episodes. I liked them. But they felt like weird ones to cover there.
Yeah, Mummymon really hasn't mattered outside of occasionally mentioning his name.
Sometimes he makes an antidote that makes everything go back to the way it was at the beginning of the episode.
It's fair.
Yeah, and he was in the Morphmon episode, and he was in the previous episode, so at least Mummymon has been relevant, but it felt weird to have the Pumpkinmon episode.
Yeah.
Surely they would have done, the Dracumon episode, because we had Dracumon briefly appear in this episode, which I'm sure
briefly being a key word.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But, episode 2, and I think it was episode 3, was the Dracumon episode. That would have felt to make more sense out of those two. But it felt like a Halloween special that was meant to come on after episode 4, but didn't air for some reason.
That.
Yeah.
Or a promo or something for it. I don't know. I don't know who it was for, and it was on Crunchyroll still, so you can watch it.
I'm being reminded of the episode of Appmon that was trying to recap the series so far and did so very, very poorly.
Yeah, but at least it included the episodes leading up to that point, and it did have the catchphrase off between Eri and Astra, who says their catchphrase more, and I think it was Astra from memory. I loved that.
Right.
That was the best part of the episode, the fact that it had a tally of every time they've said a catchphrase.
That's pretty okay.
But it was the worst episode of Atmon.
Yes.
And at least the Ghost Game recap didn't have an episode, so we don't have to rank it, because obviously to be down the bottom, and that's the same thing with the Atmon special, is that it was a numbered episode, so it had to be in the ranking, but it was at the bottom because it was just...
objectively the worst.
Yeah, it was the worst, but again, it's a clip show, so clip shows... I don't know, maybe clip shows work better for a show that's been going on for years and years and years, and you have, bits from early seasons. I think Scrubs did a few, and they were done pretty well, but it's weird when it's only a 50-episode season, why?
Anyway,
so moving on, that was a thing that happened. It's on Crunchyroll if anyone wants to watch it, but it's not.
Don't.
easily skippable. So I'm glad we didn't do a podcast for it. But anyway, another bit of news is that Digimon Survive got a release date, which is the 28th of July in Japan, and then for the rest of the world is July 29th. So that's exciting. We get to play Survive finally. It looks good, and that's all I can really that's all I can really say. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And lastly, so if you are listening to this episode as it comes out and you are Australian, the election is on the 21st of May. Here's my obligatory boring adult. Go vote. If you can't vote on the day, you can do a postal vote. You can go to any early voting area. Just look it up. It's online. I've already voted. I did a postal vote because I'm going to be at a dog show on the day. So yeah, go vote. If you're in Australia and you're listening to this as it comes out, voting is important, and also you get like a $300 fine if you don't vote. So
God,
I'm doing you a favor.
That's wild.
Yeah, you get a fine if you're not enrolled, and then you get like I think a bigger fine if you're enrolled but don't vote.
Huh.
So, but also if you aren't enrolled to vote, that you can't buy a house if you're not enrolled to vote, because they actually require that as a proof of identity when you buy a house. So if you're not enrolled to vote, you will struggle to do a lot of things like buy a house or get a loan, lots of things like that.
I kind of wish that were a thing here.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we had a local election here, but I also voted by mail.
I didn't. I went in person because I'm a scrub.
Yeah, I hate going in person because like I'm a decided voter. I know which party I'm voting for. I know my preferences.
I just forgot to request a vote by mail ballot.
Yeah, it's just super convenient. God, I wish. Anyway, this is not the election podcast. You can go listen to 538 or whatever.
But yeah, so just a reminder. I just thought I'd mention that voting is important, and also you don't want a fine. But anyway, so for the Ghost Game portion of this election and politics podcast, the synopsis for this week's episode is that Ruri was invited to attend a huge brand company's HQ meeting, but it turns out that it's run by a bunch of vampires and led by a very sexy Vamdemon.
That's also the last part of the episode that Ruri matters for.
Yes, but basically, yeah, it's not a Ruri episode. This setup for the synopsis makes you think, hey, it's a Ruri episode. No.
We're sure gonna threaten to kill her briefly, and then give her no agency in dealing with it.
Yeah. I sure did say in episode 24's podcast, gee, I'm so happy that Ruri is not a damsel in distress. This episode was like she was almost a damsel in distress. But anyway, Vamdemon says that he wants to rule the world and turn everyone into vampires, but he wants the humans who are partnered with Digimon to rule with him and kind of serve him. For reasons, like, I guess he just sees them as useful. Maybe he wants a human partner. I don't know. But I guess that's nice of him. So he challenges the group to battle so he can see if they're worthy. But they all struggle. Hero begins to feel Betelgammon's pain because of the bats from Vamdemon, despite the fact...
Sure.
I thought the Vital Bracelet... I thought the Vital Bracelet did this already. I thought they were already connected because of the Vital Bracelet. That's why they do
we brought that up earlier.
Yeah, I thought that at least like your feelings come across through the Vital Bracelet because it's your vitals and
also,
all, and that's
just,
why.
Like, half the seasons of Digimon have done that at some point or another.
Yeah, like this episode felt a lot like the Growlmon Evolves to Perfect episode where Takato has the feelings of Growlmon as he's fighting, and then Megalo Growlmon. So it felt a lot
significantly worse.
Yeah, but at least like I like the colors inverting when he was in pain. I thought that was cool in this episode. But anyway, Betelgamon evolves to Canon Weissmon and maybe kills Vamdemon. I don't know.
Didn't seem like it.
I thought that he died and he just exploded into bats and
died.
No,
he totally ran away.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I really don't want him to die.
Everybody then turned back to normal for no reason, but...
Yeah, that's why I thought that he died, because all the vampires turned back to normal, and I think that's, like, a thing in a lot of vampire stories, is that, like,
that would have made sense.
So that's why I got the impression that he just, like, died, but also exploded into bats, but also Vamdemon is able to turn into a horde of bats to move. We've seen that before.
Yeah, I think that's all that happened, because we didn't get the, digiparticles that happened when we killed Dracmon.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm really annoyed.
In this episode?
To get killed.
I'm so annoyed, but we'll get to that when we talk about the discussion. But yeah, so Canon Weissmon basically does the whole, you are a pitiful bad guy, I'm gonna kill you, which is just, like, that. I'm pretty sure that happens in every Digimon season, at least once, where the Digimon evolves and then just, like, does a brief, like, vague smack talk to the Mon of the Week of just like, you are a pitiful bad guy and I'm gonna destroy you now, and then he does, and the whole bus clapped. Like, it just happens. And then Matadormon and Sangluotmon are like, well, we're gonna leave now. And then they do. And then the episode ends. Now that we've gone over the synopsis and I've done my little preachy please vote if you're Australian, let's go on to the discussion of this episode. So, what were our highlights this week?
The new evolution was cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the
Not
animation
really,
for it was pretty cool.
but fine. Yeah, the evolution animation was pretty cool. I was a little underwhelmed by the actual combat afterward, but, the Evo was cool.
Yeah. It was very much just like, he did a big attack, and then the bad guy maybe died. Like, it wasn't really a combat so much as it was, he says one line of dialogue and fires his attack because it's Ghost Game and we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Canon Weissmon I've known about for a bit because of the Vital Bracelet. He was on the Gammamon dim.
Sure.
And I didn't really like his design previously. I thought it felt too Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's pretty Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's very Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think this episode actually did it justice. I think I like it a lot more than I did. I was previously like, I don't like this design. But this episode, it made me like it a little bit more. I just felt like the animation did it justice. So that's good. That's probably the best way it can go. And I just still surprised that he was in this episode, but
It was a very low-stakes episode to decide to do this, or at least, I don't know, technically world domination was on the table, but it sure didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It felt like it came out of nowhere. Like, I kind of... The Digimon TV Twitter account does this terrible thing every week. Well, every week there's an episode where it will... just maybe an hour after it's airing in Japan, before the Crunchyroll release, they will just spoil the episode.
Wow,
And, yeah, I guess it makes sense because they are a Japanese account, so for them it's not really a spoiler because the episode's already been out in Japan, but it sucks for anybody who isn't in Japan or doesn't have a means to watch the original broadcast and has to wait for the Crunchyroll airing of it, which tends to result in the person being spoiled, and because Canon Weissmon
they'd wait like 6 hours or something.
Yeah, if they waited like I would say maybe 12 hours from the Japanese airing, because I don't know, I just feel like that feels like a good time frame at least. But no, they so I was like, oh, I guess Canon Weissmon is in this episode, and I was honestly surprised because this, the preview and the description made it sound like this episode was a Ruri episode.
Sure
or at
did.
least team plus Ruri, but Ruri is, the main character in this. But it was kind of like a weird moment to pull a hero. I hope Ruri matters.
Ruri got
Maybe
some
next
moments
episode.
in the last episode that we cared about.
Yeah, she was brave in the Agitaramon episode.
That's fair.
But I mean, something I liked about Ruri in this episode is that all her friends are like, "Oh, Aviel's so cool, so hot," and she's like, "I'm not interested in that. Like, she's just in it for her brand. She's not in it to look at the pretty boy." I really liked that.
She is just really devoted to her brand, and that's
that's great. I'm really glad that's her thing. Like, she's not going to be thirsty over the hot male.
That's fair.
Speaking of which, also I was really, really concerned that it was going to be like a creepy adult aged looking Digimon is creepy to child. That didn't happen. It didn't get creepy. And I'm so like, that's probably my favorite part of the episode because the whole time when they were sitting...
There sure was let's lick our lips at the camera after saying, "Go forth, my daughters," or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least those were presumably adults because they were drinking alcohol.
They did go out of their way to mention that Ruri wasn't going to be drinking alcohol, which felt very silly to me.
Well, she's a good role model.
I really liked the fact that they didn't treat her like an adult, and they didn't get. As I said, I was really concerned that it was going to be like when I saw the start of the episode, and that Maya's mom was kind of like biting and being like kind of like sexy towards these women. I was worried that Ruri would get the same treatment when she showed up, but she wasn't. So thankful. It could have just gone so creepy, and we didn't sexualize children, so that's my real highlight. So big fan of that. Thanks, Dandenong. You can continue to be wonderful and sexy. Speaking of which, that disguise though, like we got Arukenimon a few weeks ago. Super hot. Now we get Dandenong being Bishonen.
I was saying to Chloe when we were watching it that you were definitely going to have his human form as a highlight.
Yeah, well, it was, and it's also another case of, like, when I saw the screenshots, like, in the preview leading up to the release of this episode, I was kind of like, I think that's Dandenong.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I'm not one. Yeah, but it's not like, you know, as obvious as it could be. It was a
little bit.
Yeah, but in, like, the original adventure, Dandenong's disguise was just non-existent. He would be like, you know, coming along in his little carriage, and then he'd come out and he'd just be Dandenong and just bite people. Like, very happy.
Carriage.
Yeah, just like nothing sus. But no, he was actually a human disguise. Speaking of suspicious, Dracumon's disguise in this episode was non-existent. I don't know what he was meant to be. He was the only one who didn't try with his disguise. Like, Matadormon had a disguise. Even the dog had a disguise as being Dandenong's dog. I don't know why Dracomon was just like, I'm wearing a hat.
It was kind of cool seeing Dandenong show up as a throwback, though.
Yeah, and yeah, so my highlight is Dandenong, and the fact that he didn't get too creepy is still, you know, creepy, but only in that, you know, vampires are sexy but also terrifying kind of aspect. And the first few minutes of the episode were pretty great for me because it was like a good mix of look at these sexy vampires plus look at this horror, which is what vampires are meant to be. They're meant to be like, you know, kind of sexy and, you know, kind of, you know, flirtatious but still terrifying.
Yeah,
they didn't go like
trying to scare women away from sexuality. We get it.
Yeah, but I was not scared away from sexuality by this. I was like, hey, pretty anime boy, hello. But that was my main highlight. But the first the introduction bit, you know, was very Ghost Game in the way that the introduction bit was good, and it just kind of went down from there. They sure
know how to start an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely hook me in the first 5 minutes and then proceed to lose me, typically. Or at least not. They don't have me as much.
They sure don't execute as well on the end as they do at the beginning. I think that's a pretty just kind of objective statement here.
Yeah, it's very Roald Dahl doesn't know how to finish his books. Like, great first chunk of every book, and then the end of The Witches was just like, well, mice don't live very long. And you are an old grandma, so you're not going to live very long. So I guess we can die together. And I'm like, geez, this is a kid's book. That's a terrible ending.
Yep. Not even the first time we've discussed it on the podcast.
Yeah, I know. It's my favorite example for you know how to do a good story, you don't know how to end it, which is reasonable. It's better than just like, and then they woke up. But anyway, those are my highlights. Do y'all have any more highlights?
Yes, I thought it was cool that this entire episode basically took place in one of the angel ceiling pillars from Eva Rebuild.
Here we go. It's 23 minutes to Evangelion this week.
Oh, I would have brought that up like 10 minutes ago if I had the opportunity.
Oh yeah, and if I just stopped talking and took a breath for 5 minutes, I don't know.
I'm
sorry.
We weren't gonna say it, but.
So like the outfits throughout, including Dandenong's outfit. Yeah. It was a good design.
Specifically, the human form outfit was pretty good. The main design could maybe use an update.
Yeah, I was kind of meh on Digimon form, but you know, honestly, they even made a point of what's his bucket, real annoying friend being like gaudy, huh? About the vampire ladies, but like they were looking pretty fine.
Yeah, they were very good after vamping. Pretty good before, but
isn't it like part of the Bram Stoker's Dracula that the vampire ladies were, looking dead but still pretty fine?
Yep.
Like, I feel like that's a big part of it. Like, oh, they're terrifying women now, but dang.
Mm-hmm. And, not gonna say that's not a little bit goals.
Looking hot even when dead.
Yeah, like if you gotta go, you might as well at least look hot while you're doing it. And,
exactly. I'm not pretty, I'm otherworldly and ethereally beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely gives a whole new meaning to the phrase going out with a bang.
Mm-hmm. And my last highlight was that I kind of felt like we got some new plot. Like we at least got a new villain group, I think, because I'm pretty sure that Dandenong didn't die.
Yeah, I go ahead.
Yeah, even if Dandenong did die, we still have Sanglutmon and Matadormon who
base jumped off the angel ceiling tower.
Yeah,
sure did.
I got L Corp vibes about the tower.
A little bit.
But I'm always getting At-One vibes. I feel like I had another highlight, but it just has gone from my head. But there was at least one more thing I liked about, I guess, the fact that we came back to Dracumon. I think that's the highlight that I'm thinking of. Like, I'm glad
that was
he appeared.
We technically did. Yeah, we technically came back to Dracumon.
Yeah, technically.
I don't know why we did. We it's kind of like how we included Ruri in this episode, even though Ruri didn't matter to this episode. Oh no, Ruri was briefly traumatized by a person who's appeared once before, who then got killed by someone else as a result of nothing to do with Ruri. And then they left.
Yeah, I guess, do you want to move on to lowlights? Because Dracumon, while being a small highlight, is also my main lowlight.
Yeah.
I felt that the amount of, like, maybe I'm to blame here, because I built it up in my own head that, like, Dracumon would come back and be important, but the show also had how he came back, and, I mean, at the end of that episode, and he was like, I'm evil, ha ha ha, and, like, vanished off into the sunset to be evil. I thought that it would mean more when he came back.
Yeah, he
and
sure
I was
came
really
back
excited
to be a creep and then get killed by another creep.
Yeah, he was like,
cool.
I'm gonna bite Ruri. I'm gonna do it. And then Foundman was like, no.
I'm gonna do
it. Yeah, and then it was it was hilariously anticlimactic. Like,
the whole episode was.
Yeah, it felt like it was just missing something to make an incredible episode, and it was just, I mean, great beginning, as we said in the highlights, but that was it. Like, it had some bits that I liked, but then it was a Ruri episode, but ended up having a hero evolution because Angoramon was knocked out fairly early on. We had the return of Dracumon, but it didn't mean anything. It meant so little that it could have just been any Digimon and it would have had the same impact. I was really excited when it was like, when we first got like little glimpses of Dracumon, like I was like, oh, is that Dracumon? Is that Dracumon? And then he kind of, when he was serving Ruri the drink, he was like, long time no see. I was so excited. I was like not only is it Dracumon, it's the Dracumon.
And we sure weren't.
Yeah, I was so excited, and then he died within, like, I want to say a minute or two after revealing himself to be Dracumon.
And if even that.
It just, if even that, might have even been 30 seconds, I don't know, but it felt really almost, like, badly written. Like, it was just so anticlimactic. Like, oh, here's Dracumon, one of the, I would say, a contender for a big bad, or at least a contender for maybe a
sergeant
Digimon
of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, like some importance. Like, he'd come back and then he would be he got another chosen child.
Was this episode.
Yeah, like, I honestly thought that he'd come back and he would be a Grand Dracumon, which is the mega form of Dracumon, and be the big bad, and that's just how I thought it would go. It didn't, which was sad, and it didn't really turn out to be a different chosen child's partner Digimon either. It just was a cannon fodder for the episode to show that Vamdemon can destroy a Digimon very, very easily with very little effort, just to
But it's okay,
show
because
that
we
he's
went
powerful.
out of our way to make sure that, you don't have any empathy for the person we killed.
Yeah, which we already didn't. We already knew that he was kind of like a bad dude.
Yep.
And he just jobs for Vandemon, which is basically what he did. And any Digimon could have done this.
Yeah.
It could have been a Pico Devimon or something, some random little cannon fodder Digimon. It could have been, but he jobbed to Vandemon, and that was his purpose. And it felt like disappointing.
It's just bad writing.
Honestly, yeah.
You left a plot thread dangling, and then, okay, I'll grant, you didn't colon it, you didn't forget that it happened entirely, but why, though?
Like, it would have been better if Vandemon was just like, no, I'm gonna send you to, throw back to the Digimon English dub of Adventure, but throw him to my,
The Shadow
my
Realm.
jail or prison or something. Or, yeah, that's the Shadow Realm. And then once Vandemon dies, Dracomon breaks out or something. But no, he's dead, and we don't know what happens necessarily to Digimon that die yet, I guess.
I think they're just dead. They've not given us any indication that's not the case anyhow.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
the Digimon?
Yeah.
They get Digi-egged.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it.
Maybe they did.
Well, because
they totally did. You're
we
right.
had the one say humans don't turn back into eggs.
That's right. Okay. You are correct. So yeah, that said, we've definitely had it happen in some seasons that Digimon who die in the human world die in
real
Canada.
life.
Yeah, but so yeah, that was my main low light. Obviously, I mentioned a few things that I didn't like the fact that it was meant to be a Ruri episode. It felt like a Ruri episode, and then she did nothing. That felt kind of almost on the cusp of being a damsel in distress, but she wasn't super in distress. She just couldn't participate in the fight because Angoramon was knocked out. I do still like how Angoramon does his own investigation into the Mon of the Week. I always do like that, but it doesn't seem to work out necessarily super well for
Pretty
him.
much ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna split up and look for clues, and then dies. Like, that's kind of what he does.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we had in this is there are so many more women in this episode than there are men, and none of them got to have any agency at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, I wanted there to at least be, like, a Lady Devimon hanging out or something.
Yeah, but...
Like, have her bite some women, I don't know.
Yeah, every woman will apparently respond to an ad by an extremely suspicious brand that only names things after really bad Latin for things tangentially related to blood, and will just kind of go along with whatever. And then we had a big strong man show up to briefly have angst and then save the day, hooray.
Yeah, like, it wasn't quite as bad as just, like, it could have been. Like, I still felt like Ruri actually sort of mattered. Like, it was nice that she, again, wasn't necessarily super attracted to Vandemon. She was just there for her own brand. I'm glad that she had some character. But that was it. So that was her character. She was just happy to promote her brand and just be there for her brand. But, yeah, otherwise...
She was just there for the ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have some,
blood ice
some
cream.
wine and... Yeah, some blood ice cream. But, very suspicious. The whole building is suspicious. The whole sitting area is
It couldn't look
extremely
more
suspicious.
ominous if it tried. What is up with
Like,
it just being, like, bright red like that?
I don't know why. Like... Nobody was sitting there going, this is, like, slightly suspicious.
No, they're like, nah, that's cool as heck.
You know, on the other hand, L Corp,
Oh, yeah.
we've expected people to go along with way more suspicious things.
Yeah,
You know, the big bad that shows up in episode 1, spoiler alert, is the big bad. Like, hey... What about this Leviathan big bad that starts with L and basically has a symbol that is an L? Hey, look at this company. It's called L Corp with a very similar font.
But, I mean, come on, Air, you're just grasping at straws there. They use a slightly different stylized L. That's such a reach.
Yeah, but it looks so
One
similar.
is black, one is red. I don't know how you can think there's any similarity to that.
Yeah.
Anywho,
yeah, lowlights.
Yeah.
It was like, even though world domination by vampires was apparently on the line this episode, it just never really felt very high stakes. Like, I never was worried about will they win. It was mostly just a matter of, will it be like a win via a dark evolution or a win via a normal power-up?
We've even had episodes where, at least there was some amount of stakes because some of the people were potentially going to get killed, but, they were all fine and we didn't... I sure did never feel like that was...
Yeah. They've done a better job of making me, invested in the stakes, and I'm not really sure what about it from this episode was such a miss, but it missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. There's just something that felt off about this episode, and I think it falls under the Ghost Game problem of the beginning is strong, and then they spend so much time in the beginning, it kind of loses it.
We needed a whole lot of setup for Ruri talking with her still unnamed friends about an endorsement from a company.
Names. Am I misremembering?
I don't think they have names, but if they have names...
I wish they said them more.
Yeah. I wish they had personalities beyond existing and, I guess, caring about fashion.
And respecting each other's boundaries.
That's true, I guess. But yeah, there's... I wish that characters who weren't hero mattered. Kyoshiro matters a little, but it's pretty much just the hero show.
But not as much as Colin was the Taichi show. I still feel like it
could
go a lot of worse.
But out of curiosity, because you know more things than we do, does Hero have 3 ultimates and everybody else gets 1?
No, from what we know, we only know that they each have 1 perfect level Digimon, which we know the designs of, and I think I shared them on Discord once to sort of show we've got a terrifying Angoramon perfect level, and then we've got a pretty cool look. Yeah, that one's really cool. Looking forward to that. Hoping it's like an uncontrollable evolution or something. I don't know. It looks
Buff
very
Rabbit
different.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it's very different from Simpara and Goramon though. And then we've got also Tez the Jellymon has an evolution to perfect as well. But none of them have any mega level Digimon so far. There wasn't on the dim card.
Well, they want to sell you the dim card.
Yeah.
Or they're just not going to mega this time.
Sure.
I mean, I'd be surprised.
Maybe.
But that is also a possibility.
I think they want to sell you at least 1 more set of dim cards.
Well, there's actually a leak for the next set of Ghost Game numbered dim cards.
Shocked.
And it's Espimon, who, no idea who that Digimon is. A completely unknown new Digimon called Espimon. Possibly, I want to say we get a Digimon every 5 years for an anniversary. I'm wondering if that's the 25th anniversary Digimon for the franchise. So that would be good timing too, because we get that's in June or July. So that's probably who Espimon is. This is news to me. I didn't
know they were, but that's okay.
Yeah, we get Dracomon was the 5th anniversary, I think, and then we had Hackmon the 15th, and there was I think 10th might have been Dorumon, and or maybe anyway. So anniversary Digimon, and the other Digimon on it is either Ludomon or Rudamon. Ludomon was part of the 20th anniversary celebration Digimon, so that's possible, and Rudamon was also paired with Dorumon, another anniversary level Digimon. So we don't know if it's Espimon and Rudamon, or Espimon and Ludomon. So so you can see how the translation's gone there. We're not sure if it's Ludomon or Rudamon. It's one of them, probably. Maybe it's a different one. But we don't know if there's going to be another Gammamon, Jellymon, and Angoramon dim cards. So we do know there's at least one more, but it's not related to these. So yeah, at least there's only 1 perfect level for Gammamon.
I have a gauntlet to throw at you. Because I'm now curious. Do you think that you could name every Digimon?
There's thousands. Probably not, no.
Do you think you'd be able to get a good chunk of them? I'm curious.
I probably could.
Just imagine you sat for a week and you just tried to make a notebook of every Digimon name you could without looking anything up.
You know what? I'm going to try to do that.
Alright.
I think that'd be a good podcast challenge.
Okay, I'm going to do that this week, and I'll write them down. I'll put them in an Excel file just so it's easy for me to count.
Yeah.
So I'll name every Digimon. I probably could get a few hundred.
Yeah, I feel like you'll easily get to 400.
But also, you could just pull out random syllables and then add mon to the end. It's probably a Digimon.
We gotta work out some sort of validator for this, but
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But also, I would like Jarl to also participate, like Quinn and Chloe.
I'll
see how
give
many
it a
Digimon
shot.
we
I
can do.
imagine
no.
Chloe will get like 30 tops.
If that.
At some point, you could just like put down also color and mon, or concept and mon, and you can probably get something. But yeah, so
Chaosmon,
that's
Justimon,
yeah, just word and mon.
Flame
There's a
Dramon.
Digimon.
Captain
But,
Hookmon.
Petermon.
Also names, but yeah. So that sounds like a genuinely fun challenge, and
Yeah, this
unless
should be
like I
interesting.
completely forget, but that sounds super cool.
And listeners,
and we'll
send yours in, I guess.
yeah see how many Digimon you can name without
Please
looking
don't
it up.
send us
There's
the
no
list.
yet. Just give us
We
a
will
number.
not read it out on
but-
the podcast.
Yeah, I will not read out my list on the podcast. I will just give a number, and yeah. So that's a fun thing that we can do, and I'll say the results during the housekeeping segment. So the only time limit is between now and the next podcast recording. I'm going to try to think any Digimon that I think of, I'm going to write in this list. Or if I have time, I'm just going to sit down and just start typing Digimon. And then I'm probably going to have to check for doubles.
We should probably get back to the lowlights.
Yeah, we'll get back to it. But that's a super fun idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad
do we
you
have
meant
any
to
other?
say
Do we
that.
have any other? Do we have any other lowlights other than just the fact that I just keep on talking in this episode?
Annoying friend just came to be misogynistic for a bit, and then nothing bad happened to him. That was kind of
Can
annoying.
he please get killed?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted him to
Like, repeatedly?
show up and also become a vampire for like 10 seconds.
Have anything happened to him other than just,
he
show up and
literally
be a
just
jerk?
showed up to insult a bunch of women and then left.
Which, yeah.
They were
That tracks
looking
with it.
good as
Especially because he
vampires.
was just wrong.
Yeah. Any other lowlights?
Stop telling women what to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's all I had for lowlights.
Yeah, me too. Just like, I don't know, I guess just disappointed is how I feel. Like,
Yeah.
it could have been a lot more.
Yeah. They didn't sexualize Ruri is about the best I can say about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very, very happy that we didn't do that because, as I said, that was a genuine concern that I had at the start of the episode. Like, we're biting women. Ruri's gonna show up. Very worried, but we didn't. So happy. Well done. I didn't realize that my expectations
you managed
were that
to
low.
pass a very low bar.
Yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
on the one hand, like, yes, sure, it's much better that it is not this than it being this. But on the other hand, I don't really want to pat them on the back for,
Yeah.
failing
Yeah.
to trip over that bar.
There was an
The
SNBC
bare
the other
minimum.
day that was like, how do you know the snowman's a snowman and not a snow woman? Snowman proceeds to give itself an award for not sexually harassing anyone yet.
But, yeah, so are we ready to move on to favourite character?
Yeah.
My favourite character, I don't know, I wrote down Sangloopmon, but, like, I don't know why I'm kidding myself. It's definitely Vandemon. I think I was just distracted by the scene where Vandemon's like, this is my dog, he's a good boy, and I was like, your dog!
That is fair.
I think I was just absolutely distracted by that, but no, it's Vandemon, duh. Why would I not say Vandemon? Don't know who I'm trying to fool with my original character I wrote down, but yeah, it's Vandemon. Sorry, I'm being predictable. Quinn, who's your favourite?
The doll that was being held by the purple-haired friend from when Ruri was being talked to about...
The creepy doll.
The creepy doll!
Yeah, that was so cool. What
I
was
love
that?
the creepy doll. I wish it
Yeah,
were a
I
Digimon.
love creepy doll. Yeah, I hope that's Espimon.
Oh, please let that be Espimon. Please let them have a secret fourth member of the party who's a girl.
Yeah, and
so there
they
can
have
be a
Digimon.
second named girl.
They know all about them doing Digimon adventures and stuff, but they just don't want to participate because it's not aesthetic, or they just don't. They're just not into it. They're like, well, I have a Digimon too, but I don't really want to.
Fighting's not really my
do
jam.
anything.
Is the thing.
They just like Digimon, but not the fighting aspect. They kind of just want to have. Digimon don't always want to be the champions, okay? They sometimes just want to be the friends, but Digimon are the friends. It doesn't have the same ring to it. I don't know.
Not quite as
Not
much,
wrong.
but I would be down for, honestly, just the slice of life Digimon season. I think I've said that before.
A bird just flew into the window. Anyway,
wait.
it agreed with that. They also wanted that. The bird wanted to say it wants a slice of life Digimon.
That's fair.
But
The bird is okay.
on that note, the bird is fine. It flew off into a different window and then continued to fly on. It's majestic. It's also me. I'd never seen a bird that I related to more in my life. Just, you walk into one window, you walk off, and you immediately walk into another. But no,
that is,
on that
we've all been there.
A little bit bigger a mood than I'd care to admit.
Yeah, I definitely... the magpie, I'm relating to that magpie now. But anyway, just on that point, I want to talk about virtual pets because of course I do, because apparently I can't stop talking in this podcast. I'm sorry. But I want to point out that there's only one virtual pet, that's a Digimon virtual pet, that allows you to connect with another one and not fight or jogress, and that is the Digimon twins. You can just connect and hang out with the other Digimon, and you're actually meant to unlock special things on that. You can eat together, they can play games, and just hang out and be friends, and that's only on one Digimon virtual pet, and I want it on more. I just want Digimon to hang out and not necessarily have to fight when you connect with it.
I want to just be able to hang out with a Mugendramon.
Yeah, just be friends with the Digimon. Like, I don't know why they just don't. I know that's more of Tamagotchi's thing. They connect and they hang out and they do things, but I really like it with Digimon as well. I just want Digimon slice of... I want Neon Genesis Evangelion Angelic Days, where they're just having a slice of life.
I
love
would
Angelic Day so much.
Enjoy just a low stakes. Give me the series about Hikari going on to be an elementary school teacher in that world where everyone has Digimon. That would be so adorable.
Yeah, I want to see that world where everything's perfect. They don't have to fight with Digimon anymore, but everyone has Digimon.
It's just Muppet Babies, but with Digimon.
Just, yeah, don't give me them having to fight Myotismon, who's come back for the 700th time in Adventure. I want them just to have their Digimon, and I want to see what the world is like when everybody has their own digital monster, digital companion, digital friend. I want to see that world. Since I was a kid, I was like, that's cool, and I thought that's what Tamers was. I thought that it would just be, like, Hikari's a teacher. She has her Digimon.
But yeah.
That's all I want. But, yeah, so, Chloe, favourite character?
My favourite character was the girl with the blue bow in her hair from the intro scene.
That was a really sick outfit.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we're getting back to non-characters as our favourite characters.
This episode didn't really catch me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
had a lot of good,
I agree.
good parts that just weren't assembled well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was an IKEA episode, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get that. But speaking of which, as for rating, I probably gave it too high. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because there were still bits that I liked.
Yeah.
While the episode itself was disappointing, I did like that at least we got Dracomon for, like, briefly. It was terribly written in the end, but at least we got something. It was better than just Dracomon never shows up again. But again, I have my expectations far too low. Adventure Colon kind of made me very pessimistic about the anime. But we also have, again, Ruri wasn't sexualized. Vandermon was really sexy. I liked that Ruri wasn't necessarily attracted to Vandermon. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked Canon Weissmon more than I thought I would. The animation was good. I liked the evolution, like the lead up, even like, okay, not so much the lead up, but I liked the whole, like, we'll do this together, and he's about to, like, he's going black-eyed, and he looks like he's about to dark evolve, but Hiro is able to kind of knock him out of that. I liked that. That was cool. So there were a lot of bits that I liked about this episode. So while it's if it wasn't disappointing, it'd be a 5, basically, but it was disappointing, so it's a 3. And again, I feel like that's probably too high for this episode because there was a lot that I didn't like. But at the end of the day, it was still an okay episode. It was just slightly better than Meh. And a Meh for me is 2.5 because, 50-50, it's halfway there. So it's a 3. And yeah, and
that's fair. It's a soft 3, but it's a 3.
Oh yeah, it's like, it's not an incredible 3, but it's still there. Quinn, what are we giving it?
I'm going with a 2.
Yeah, that's also fair.
Yeah.
I hovered around a 2, but I was like, I think I have too many highlights for a 2, but yeah, 2 is very valid.
Yeah.
And Chloe?
I'm gonna split the difference and do a 2.5, I think.
Yeah, that is valid. So, doing the quick maths, that means that overall this episode gets a 7.5, which is a unique rating, which is great, because we've previously, it's also one of the lowest, so previously we gave episode 17 and episode 6 both 7s, so that was Episode 6, The Cursed Song, and Episode 17, Icy Hell. So that means that this episode is better than the worst 2 rated episodes. So that means that it's in 23rd place in our overall ranking, which, if the worst episodes are still, passing. But, okay, you're right. I always say that, and then it ends up getting worse. But, it's third from the bottom, 23rd place. It's fine. But yeah, for my own ranking, I similarly put it pretty low down. I put it in 20th place. So between episode 15, The Fortune Teller's Manor, bit above episode 19, The Witching Hour, which I can't even remember even though that's not that long ago, what was in that episode?
I don't remember.
Some of these episodes are like, what happened there?
Mm-hmm.
It must have been an okay episode.
Oh, wait, which one? The Witching Hour?
Yeah.
That was the one where they had the shadow clones of themselves that tried to strangle Hero, except
the cool episode.
Yeah, like
the
almost
cool episode, yeah.
It was cool, but yeah, just apparently incredibly forgettable for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for y'all's rankings, Quinn, where are we putting episode 25?
Second from the bottom, above Icy Hell, but below The Cursed Song.
Yeah, that's fair. And Chloe?
I think mine is going in 21st place, above Zashikiwarashi and below Maneater's Forest.
That's fair. So we more or less kind of all put it fairly low on our ratings, which I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to talk because every time I do, I curse. And also I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. But those are our rankings for episode 25. Do we have any miscellaneous thoughts for this episode?
Yeah. We thought it was kind of neat that they at least had a different, hook for each group of women that was being lured in. They had the jewelry, they had the fragrances, the foods, something else that I can't remember now. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then they, additionally took the extra step to just relate everything back to blood.
It was so silly.
Wasn't already obvious enough.
It was a lot, but at least that... I really felt we could have compressed the intro, a lot, but,
That was the best part.
It was. I just think we could have made the best part come later.
Yeah. And then the other sort of miscellaneous thought that Quinn and I both had, I think, was just that, I feel like I should care a lot more about Ken and Weissmon than I do.
Yeah. For the glowy angelic halo thing we had going on, this sure does not compare to Angemon showing up.
Yeah. It did feel like the Angemon debut in the original adventure, though. Well, now you mention it.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of an homage to it, but the stakes were so much lower that it didn't
feel like it.
Yeah.
Also, I know that a lot of people have been saying, oh, this, it's so slow, it's taken so long to get to perfect. I would have preferred they to pull out a perfect level in an episode that meant more to the plot. We're fighting against maybe a sort of connected to the big bad. Maybe Lesmon comes back, who was the creepy demon in the fortune teller one. Have him come back, or have Dracumon come back, but he's evolved into another Digimon. And also, by the way, the whole Dracumon episode was featuring him saying, "Oh, I want to, I want to be physical," and he was physical in this episode, and they didn't mention it.
Physical.
All right, time for Pondering, Postmon Pat predictions, and something else that starts with P.
Pestering.
So first up for Postmon Pestering, which I do all the time. That's just kind of what I do. We have our Postmon Pat, which is comments on the YouTube video. First up, Mystic Digital points out how I was like, oh, this totally nameless scientist lady that tortured Morphmon is totally going to be a tamer. And then an episode with Yuto, who is a named character, is, not even referenced, no chance of being a character. My reason for that is that Yuto didn't have a character, but Scientist Lady had more of a character in 30 seconds than Yuto did.
Scientist Lady was great.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't want another man in the cast. I would like a woman.
Yeah.
I would like a genius, crazy, mad scientist lady. Yes. I feel like that'd be cool. I want an evil tamer, not a, generic nice boy, sweet boy, soft boy kind of thing. So that's my reasoning for that. But yeah, it is funny that we got a named character.
Honestly, I wish Kiyashiro were a girl. Just I like that, caricature archetype, but would much prefer that we let girls be smart.
I'm glad that Kyoshiro's not a girl, because Kyoshiro's kind of a wuss and was like screaming about vampires as kind of this whole episode and tends to be rescued.
I do see where you're coming from, so yeah. That's fair.
That's fair.
I do wish we could kind of see this character archetype of the really smart, important person being a girl. Miyako,
and that's why
almost
Scientist
got
Lady.
That. Yeah, Scientist Lady would have been great. Anywho.
Yeah. Next up, we have Digital Hazard, who said they really enjoyed the episode. They didn't feel as if the love came out of nowhere. A being that hadn't known love and affection developing an extreme version of these feelings is too far-fetched. We've seen it in people plenty with parasocial relationships. And they say that a Jataramon tearing themselves apart to become human after realising they can't turn the human into a Digimon, but destroying itself doing so is heartbreaking. And it really rung of old Monster Man movies, and they love it. And it totally did. It had that
sick.
Vibe. Next, we have KG James, who says the episode reminded them how they felt when watching a particularly unsettling episode of Doctor Who growing up. I used to love Doctor Who, but I can't think of the episode. But maybe was it like Love and Something? And I think there was a sad episode called Love and Something. That one maybe, but I don't remember anything about the episode, but I think that might be what they're talking about.
Anyway.
Next, we have Geo Saga, who says they gave the episode 5 out of 5. Great episode for what it was going, but the ending of the episode would be a complete overhaul of the dark stuff that we see in Digimon. They thought the tension of Yandere was a genuine horror combined with the body horror that was even more disturbing than episode 1 Clockmon Time Stealing. Next, we have just a nice comment from somebody called Danny, who says that we're amazing and they love the podcast, which is always just nice to hear.
Thank you.
And then we have Narumi, who says they thought this episode would be a standard Ghost Game episode until the last 3 minutes, and same, very through a loop. Then we have Lazy Crocodile, who says the episode was pretty good, but really disturbing by the end, and it's why they like Ghost Games so much, that they expect that Yuto will come back in some shape or form, because he's not just like Rui's friends, he knows Digimon are real and dangerous. He got a name. Then we have M, who says they were not expecting Digimon suicide ever, not even Ghost Game. It's a whole new level of dark.
Yeah.
And totally agree. Next we have a comment saying that it's from Desinformation, who says that it's like Doki Doki Literature Club, which I just played. Had not heard. I somehow missed the whole craze.
I heard.
Was very much surprised.
I don't know the specifics, but I know the broad plot beats.
Yeah. Turns out, I expected Clanad. Then I saw the warning and I was like, that's interesting. And, Clanad's still kind of dark, so maybe it goes that way. And then I got Higurashi, so very much, it escalated very quickly and I was very surprised by that because I somehow missed the whole craze.
Yandere does not work for me. But anyway, we should keep going.
Yep. Next, we have Detective Emma, who says they would prefer if the show kept being episodic. They're not a fan of plot-based things. This is a really unique thing because a lot of people have been complaining that it's episodic, so it's really refreshing to see somebody actually say that they prefer this. And that's greght. I don't care one way or another as long as it's good. Yeah, I'm glad that people are enjoying it. And, we have Edgardo, I think that is. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, saying that, If the gang got the facts much earlier or mature enough, they might have been able to talk down to Jataramon, which was a really sad thought that they might have been able to save it. But
oof.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that it wasn't a talking out of this episode because I think we had enough of those.
That's fair. But yeah, definitely
and lastly,
interesting to realize that they could have.
Yeah, definitely. Lastly, we have Andrew, who says that how is the city not in lockdown because people were just becoming plants, and that's a good question for a lot of the Ghost Game. The city should be in panic or something should be going on because some episodes are just being like, well, people are missing limbs, people are turning into trees, there's things coming out of our phones. No, everyone's fine. I don't.
Yeah,
that is
people
weird.
Pretty much know what's going on. Maybe not all the specifics, but they know stuff's going on. How there isn't a military response at this point, it's a whole thing. But whatever.
What are our thoughts about the series so far?
It's Digimon, baby.
It's Digimon, and we got Evolution to Perfect, which is something that a lot of people were kind of really desperate for. wonder how they feel now.
Yeah, I wasn't chomping at the bit for that, but, that's fine. I'm sure we'll do more with that. I'm hoping Ruri will be more interesting. I really hope Ruri gets to matter more.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Maybe next week's episode, which I guess brings us to the predictions for the next episode, episode 26, Cannibal Mansion.
I predict that nobody's going to get cannibalized.
Yeah. Someone might get eaten by a Digimon, but that is not cannibalism.
Yeah, a person getting eaten by a Digimon is not cannibalism.
I can't believe we're doing Vor.
Oh, we're so doing Vor. We're even advertising that we're doing Vor in advance this time.
It's about time. But, from the synopsis, it seems that Digitamamon is, like, a friend of Angoramon. So that's kind of cool. We get an episode that is an Angoramon episode. I like it when we are like, hey, these Digimon, they get to have characters too. Alright everyone, so thanks for joining us this time to talk about episode 25. You can join us next time for episode 26, The Cannibal Mansion. The link dumps is linked in the description, as is our Redbubble and ways for you to contact us, such as sending us an email to LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, commenting on this episode on our website, LostinTranslationmon.com, or of course on the episode on YouTube, and I'll read it out on Postmon Pat. You can follow us at Translationmon on Twitter, and you can follow us on Lost in Translationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm at Digimon Hero on TikTok. Sorry, that's Digimon_Hero. I'm on twitch.tv/translationmon, and you can chat with us on the Lost in Translationmon Discord server. We would appreciate if you review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast, whatever. And if I find the review, I'll read it out on the podcast. If not, give me a heads up and I'll read it out. You can donate to our Patreon, which links in the description from as little as $1 a month. And that gets you access to the Patreon-only areas of our Discord server. But there are other rewards, so check that out. And of course, thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Stephen Reeves, who is Wild164 on Archive Our Own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who you can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Neobu, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Kyle, Lismet, who is Elecmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Sam, Emery from Gone Will Hunting, a Hunter Hunter Rewatch podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Grey Tanuki, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who is on Twitch at The Digital Hazard, Dedicated Gazi, Alemist, Michael, and Tropiamon. You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Ergemon. You can also donate to me on my Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/Airdra. So thank you so much to y'all for listening, and of course thank you to Chloe and Quinn for joining me. Chloe, Quinn, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome for joining you.
Yes, joining you as we did on this episode this week.
Yes.
Which you tend to do anyway.
It's true, although it would be a little weird if you, were upset by that fact.
Yeah, I can't believe you joined me. I wanted to... Clearly, but you can tell by the fact that I kept on talking, that I just wanted to be alone this week, so...
Look, sometimes
whoopsies.
You just want to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!
And sometimes I just want to talk about Vamdemon being a hot super babe, but,
You might need to get Felix on to talk about that sometime.
Yeah, or Chi, or anybody who...
Yeah.
Thirsts about Digimon, because sometimes Digimon men be babin'.
Oh, you should totally put together an After Dark episode where you just get on all the people who thirst for Piedmon.
Yeah, it's called the Third Cast, or the Pod Thirst, I can't decide, but it's just, Vamdemon is probably the hottest Digimon for me, out of all of them. Out
we
of
should definitely get some guests on, and we can talk about our hottest Digimon, and just mortify Chloe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
also not.
Digital babes. Digimon are the thirst traps. I don't know. Is that the right word?
Sure.
I hear that word being thrown around a lot on Twitter, and I'm just like, okay, Gen Z terminology.
So I decided to get off of all social media, and I encourage other people to do that.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like the same, but then I gotta
actively destroying your life. Get away.
Yeah, but so thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. But so we will see y'all next one. Bye.
Bye.